Welcome to the Out There channel. Live stream 459. 999. Sound German then. V Gates, how's it going, everybody?
I'm searching, I'm loving.
Hope you feel better than I do.
I'm hiding, I'm searching.
I've been hiding.
I'm finding love.
I was sleeping anyway.
Let the beat control your body.
It's party time. Time to head down to the base. I'm still working on a new intro. It's coming along. In between falling asleep. I suppose this episode will be blocked because I got the word jab in the title. Have you had your jab? Good to be back. Good to be back. Remember the war rules, people? People have been breaking them lately. Although I'm pretty easygoing. But yeah, been a few trolls lately, isn't there? So yeah, a shout out to all the truckers out there that watch the show. Thanks for doing a good job of keeping the supplies moving during this crazy world we live in. Without the supplies, we run out of food, and we won't get our postal parcels. So yeah, so there's a lot of essential workers out there doing great work, and those are ambo drivers and those hospital workers working long hours, and yeah, it's a crazy world we live in at the moment. And yeah, someone's got to work, I guess. I don't know how I'd fit in with a 9-to-5 job anymore. When I work until sort of tired, I guess. So I could start working at midnight and work till 7 in the morning, sort of thing. You know, I've done shift work all my life, so sleeping habits always been a problem. So I can understand those on the road driving for hours on end. I don't know how they can do it myself. Horses for courses, I think. Everybody has a place in this world, I think. Hello, anyone up there? That's always the question. But I know there's a few live streams running. Some silly one with Alien Addict talking about two sides of ufology. Well, I think there's actually quite a few sides to ufology, not just two. They sort of break it down to left politics and right politics mentality. Those are on the left don't fight for truth and are gullible, and those ones on the right seek truth and are not gullible. But it's more complicated than that, because we've got fraud channels that team up with big YouTube channels which we know are frauds, and sort of have double standards and hypocrites, of course. And it's rife in the YouTube channels there, and Google protects them, of course. You notice that my subs on YouTube are going backwards again. This happens every week. As soon as I get up to the next plus 10, they start removing subs one by one every day. In fact, I thought it would be down to 2502 today, or 2501 today. But it's actually sticking around 2503. But as you know, it was up to 2506. So yeah, Google is the ringmaster of this three-ring circus that we call live streaming, and making money from it. Who's woofing dog? So I'm not sure what he's woofing at. Do the LT channel. So I haven't got anything planned, but I just thought I need to do a live stream. Like I said, it's a bit hard to plan things if you are forever falling asleep at the world, so to speak. I'm not sure if anyone else is suffering from the sleep virus, as I call it, C20, because that's what it feels like. UFO catch-up. It might be because of my meds combination. It could be because I'm diabetic as well. But it doesn't seem to be just me from what I'm hearing that seem to be exhausted, you know. Tired all the time, and when you sleep at the wrong hours, then you can't. Then you're up at the wrong time, and I don't know. It just seems to make you cabin fever, I guess. All this lockdown stuff. So yeah, of course, it's going to affect ufology. In fact, I was just going to bed at 4 a.m. the other day, and Robert Farmer come on. Said, can we talk about the UFO frames that we put up? So he's got some more information on that, and I've managed to do some more analysis on the other frame, because I couldn't find the original image. But we'll talk about that more on Monday and not ruin it now. But yeah, it's interesting. I think it's the legit sighting, that one. And I think something went wrong with the UFO, and maybe I can explain it. I'll see what Robert allows us to do, because we've got to get permissions to do things like this from the people that own the UFO video, right? Unless they've already got it up public domain, right? Once they've got it up public domain, then it's anyone's free for all to. Is it still streaming? It's got no data suddenly come up. And it's come up excellent connection. I don't know what's going on there with Google. Hope it's not lagging anyway. Looks like no one's going to join me. We had join us last live stream. I did some really basic chapters for it. I never had any energy to finish it off, unfortunately. I was going to do it last night, and then I got sidetracked on something else. I'm working on a new intro, as I said, and so I need to get some ideas out of my head into graphics and using various tools to make effects. So I've got some done. It's coming along, the new intro, slowly. It's like my avatar, you know. Always making improvements here and there. I was going to do hand gestures next to the avatar. That would be quite interesting. I thought more people would have joined us today, though, but I don't broadcast it around all the time like I do with Robert's show. Less trolls the better, you know. I'm not sure what happened to my radio interview, but it seems to have disappeared, and they're not replying to me, so something's happened there. I don't know what's going on. The first radio channel that wasn't chicken to put up what I was saying about the frauds online. I guess not. Everybody's scared of being sued over America. So just come directly to my channel. We need more people posting around and advertising it in comments and social media. It's the only way we're going to get recognised, because we're so suppressed here. And as you can see, John gave us a nice donation too. And we're still 60 US short for keeping the channel live for another year. So if you can help out there, that would be great. I finally got, did I say, the subscribe suddenly did appear in the bank, and the fees weren't as bad as what I thought. It was going to be 34 US, and it ended up being $10 US, which is as typical as general. I don't know how the banks get away with it, really. I don't see why it's so complicated. You should be able to say transfer from this bank to this bank, and with all the computer systems, there should be sort of like artificial intelligence and be able to talk to each other. I think they purposely make it hard and say there's a lot of work involved transferring it from bank to bank, so it has to be fees. But they're quite happy to get rid of bank tellers, right, and say use automatic machines instead. Is the audio working? 1, 2, 3. Sounds pretty clear back here. I'm not sure how it's coming out on Google though. But let's carry on. Where did we get to? Security. So we did a quick search at the end of the last live stream, and the mystery to the sub being destroyed. I think it's got a picture of it here somewhere. And the front of it got damaged. Was it on this one? Let's just do a fresh search. Sub collision. So what's the latest on it? US denies cover-up over sub collision in South China Sea. China hits out AU us. Australia, USA, and UK, I guess. UQCUS. They're trying to make a word out of it. Who attacked sub US? Canada faces new perils. So why would they collide? So something went on there. Else there was a malfunction, or they must have known that there was another sub there coming at them. So there's no mystery here. It's not a USO. The submarines HS Vanguard and La Triomphant collided in the Atlantic Ocean in the night between... Oh, that's a long time ago. So obviously it happens before. So how did the two submarines collide? Obviously doing cat and mouse under the water, right? So where's all the latest stuff? 1 day ago. Have we got pictures on that one? How'd you say that word? Let's see what how the computer says it.
AUKUS.
AUKUS sounds like the well. Looks like finally an email's been sent out that we're going live. So it got damaged on the front, didn't it? I don't see any damage there. They seem to be looking down at something. So yeah, why it's on a UFO channel, you should really wait till the investigated, and if they said it was an unknown craft, then it would be all over the news. I suppose he wanted to be the first out, but he wasn't though, was he? I think maybe Third Face jumped in there too. And that's the problem here with fake news like this. A US submarine mysteriously collides with an object. Yeah, it's called another sub. With an object in the South Sea suggests it was lurking near the bottom, experts say. Somehow I don't think a UFO alien craft would be so silly enough to collide. They could move a lot quicker out the way too, couldn't they? Maybe it's some sort of Chinese thing where they sort of suicide bomb other submarines. That would bring them down, wouldn't it? Have these plastic subs that can't be detected. And then ran it up to the sub and detonate the explosive. That'd be like a AI drone sub remote control mine. It's unclear what kind of operations the Qqqvid was conducting. Operating near the sea floor, which means they'd blend in with the sea floor debris. The debris down there pose a threat. Well, there'd be rocks, caves, and sunken ships, debris. Let's see what pictures we got. So what's all the fuss about? It's a nice Chinese accusation of cover-up. What's all that bull crap there? I think it's an article I found before. It's an odd way of covering up something when you put out a press release. Sea Wolf class nuclear attack submarine hit an unknown object while underwater, injuring 11 sailors. Navy has not yet said that the Qqqvid struck. It took the Navy 5 days to release information on the crash, which prompted Chinese Foreign Ministry to question details about the collision recorded in the transcript of the Foreign Ministry. Such irresponsible attitude and stonewalling and cover-up practice only make the international community more suspicious of the US tension and details of the accident. Location of the accident, if there was any nuclear leakage, and if the crash will affect fishery, according to the statement. I suppose it's because it's in South China Seas. They wrote about their fish. The US side should take responsibility to give a detailed account of what happened as soon as possible. Propulsion plant spaces are fully operational and were not affected. I suppose that is a statement saying that nothing leaked. Looks like it's only the front of the craft though, where the torpedo pods would go. So what did they crash into then? It doesn't say, does it? They obviously know what it crashed into. Update. Suffers. So what's that one? Suffers underwater collision. Well, we already know that. That's not an update. Submarine remains in safe and stable condition. Yeah, but what did it hit? Is it one of these Tic Tacs? No. Well, that would actually, if it did, and then they came out and said, oh, it's one of these drone submarines that we're testing. I suppose if it's top secret, though, that would probably put a kick in the guts on the Nimitz case, wouldn't it? Damaged US sub in port. I was actually after some pictures. Looks like we ain't going to get an answer. But like I said, there's a lot of other submarines that collided in practice games. So, okay, it's in port. So is that the one that's got a picture? No, it's the same old stock image. Yeah, but again, they're bashing over the collision, but do we know what it collided with? They're still saying unknown object. And they're saying a stock picture. Useless, these channels. Mainstream media. Seawolf class fast attack submarine. Obviously not fast enough because it collided. So there's obviously something more fast out there. US submarine hits underwater object. Here's what we can gather about the US nuclear 8 days ago. So it's still in the news images. Yeah, so what have we got? I'm sure I saw one. Here it is. Is that the one? Let's have a look. What's coming up there? And that's just a stock image again. I thought maybe that was the latest. Took out the torpedo fronts. Okay. So, where is the damage? I don't see... See, that's stock image again, isn't it? We want the Connecticut. So, where's the damage on it? Can't see anything. Looks like it's there where the standard, though. Oh, is it the super stack that's damaged up the top there? Took off the where they got the periscopes and stuff. I suppose if that bit's sticking up though, that's a nice vulnerable part though, isn't it? So if it hits something, it crumbled at the top. And maybe it caused a crack at the front there with the impact. They're looking down, saying, oh, is it serious? I suppose if the hull gets weakened, right, it becomes a liability. If you go around deep, it could crush inwards, right? Would you trust your submarine? It's been welded up. Let's just weld the crack over, not worry about it. Yeah, it looks like the top bit got wasted there. So it must have been passing another sub, surely, or something. And they scraped the bottom of the other sub. Or boat, even. Unknown object. Very strange. See, these ones are not so high up. Well, the latest ones seem to be high up. Well, those ones, look. I suppose that's so they can be underwater enough to hide it. And just have that snorkel at the top. Okay. There's another picture of it there, is it? Let's scroll back a bit. That one looks like it's got men at the top. So it's not that one. It's not too many pictures of it. Probably had the men in black take it off him. So yeah, that is that, I guess. Still not much out about it. Surprised that Black Vault hasn't put out anything about it, a statement. He normally gets the FOIA requests. He'll probably do that later, probably. Anyway, what's Secure Team been up to? Okay, looks like he's put some more stuff out here. And he's got the stock image here. So what's this one here? I don't think that's the damage. Let's have a listen. I don't think it's the damage though. He's got some stock images.
Was giving me 404 errors and saying that the page did not exist, but I finally eventually
Conspiracy.
found Russian Navy UFO records say aliens love oceans, and I just want to read some of this to you here.
Okay, he's just repeating old stuff, isn't he?
Say USOs have been spotted in said bodies of water for hundreds of years. And so to start today,
these are just blimps, targeted blimps. They're used in submarines. Also makes a good idea if you put up a blimp while you're underwater, right? And then you got eyes in the sky, and people see this blimp going through the sky. And if they took it out, then you just release the cable and dive. So yeah, it'll be all sorts of stuff like that, I'd say. That kind of looks like a TR3b blimp. But as we found out from that leak, well, TV show also broadcast it, but it was that guy from what was it, Lockheed Martin, was it? Saying that he was the engineer developing these stealth blimps that are massive. The Phoenix Lights was meant to have been one, and it's multi-stories high, and it uses electric motors, ion motors on it, plasma ion, and it can go hypersonic speeds. So something happened that day. Obviously they try to cover it up. I'm pretty sure that's what Art Bells saw too, and they covered that one up with saying it was a C-130, he said in that storytelling. If you've not heard his story, I actually have got it up on my channel. You just have to Google Art Bell and listen to his story. It's a tribute one to him. It's well listened to. I've heard it probably 10 times now. It's a pretty good story. But I'm pretty sure what that was is these secret stealth blimps that they're still classified, probably. Well, I guess if the engineer comes, that is his word against the government's. Let's see. Art Bell. And it's on the episode there. Though I haven't got chapters in it. I do listen to that one occasionally because I do listen to El Grey's music in it. He's got a good song there about the Seven Sisters, which is talking about the Pleiades star system. But yeah, Art Bell's got a really good story here. It never gets old, really. Let's see, it's about a minute in or something. Let's see what plays. Hey, Qqqvid's on the side. So this is El Grey's music. I'll just catch up on the side chat while we're looking. Yeah, regurgitating the same old bullshit for his new 13-year-old audience.
I'm trawling for
probably can't hear me over this though.
Borealis starlit crown arches over the Puget.
And that's his property. One of his wife's still there. I guess she is. It'd be hard to sell it, I'd say.
It was a very serious sighting. And here's what happened. My wife, Ramona, and myself at the time were on the way back from Las Vegas at about, 10:30, quarter to 11 at night, something like that. And we were, I would guess, about 3/4 of a mile, maybe a mile from home. And Ramona said, "What the hell is that?" And she saw light coming up behind the vehicle. And I said, "No idea." She said, "Stop the car, stop the car." So I stopped it. And let me tell you about that night. There was about a 3/4 moon, maybe more than 3/4. And it was out here in the desert where we are. It's so quiet that you could hear crickets, a quarter of a mile away. I mean, that's really quiet, right? No sound at all. No highways, no road noise, nothing. So we were in a little car. We stopped it, got out, and oh my God, from the rear, coming directly at us, here is this giant triangle. And when I say giant triangle, I mean really big. When this thing came over us, the stars went away, the moon went away, everything went away. It could not have been more than 150 feet above us. It was metallic.
So that's part of his story there. I won't play it all. But you can see there it sounds very similar to the Phoenix lights. The 8 o'clock wave, as they call it. The 10 o'clock wave was the cover-up with the flare drops. So yeah, as you know, he was a hardcore smoker. And eventually, I think did him in, really. He ended up in hospital there. Apparently, he couldn't talk and breathe at the same time. Almost sounds like the coronavirus. Maybe he had the pre-coronavirus back then. Who knows? But certainly, the coronavirus would affect smokers, I'd say, quite drastically. But yeah, it's a bit hard to believe that he killed himself overdosing or mixing painkillers, but there you go. But yeah, I suppose all these people that are dying are leaving holes for another generation to come in. But so far, not many out there any good. So yeah. He certainly had the radio voice, didn't he? And the problem, though, I found with him and Norway and Coast to Coast is that they used to be like forward pushers, though. He tried to be neutral, right? A bit like SOR, just for entertainment purposes. And obviously, truckers used to listen to those shows because they run all the time, don't they? And they just go on and on and on. But the problem is, often, like all these UFO channels, they seem to always interview the same people, and it seems to get boring. You hear the same stories repeated over and over again, and the fresh content never get heard of. So that's where the YouTube channels can really take over from that, right? But yeah, stealth blimps, they can be massive because they've got helium in them, and obviously they must have some sort of big hangar that they can store it in. So if it's big enough to block out the lights, what size hangar are we talking about there? And like I said, we're going to talk more on that new UFO video, me and Rob, on Sunday. Make sure you catch up with it, and I'll show the new images. But yeah, the video that we were given with it, I think, is a compressed version, and the still frames are way better quality than the video, which is a bit unfortunate. But we can't. We like to verify it and see if we can pull up the same frames from the video, of course, and run it through my filters, and it brings it out. So if you've not seen it, if we go back to my video link, the thumbnail has some images. So here we got some images here off that particular video. It turns out those two frames are from the same video. So when I was told by MUFON, this frame on the right actually come from the same video from UK. Now, he had a smartphone that was able to do 4K, and yet the video we got received was actually in portrait, and it was 640 by 368, which is pretty crappy quality if you want to bring out details like we've got in the thumbs here. So obviously the video on his phone is going to be higher quality than what we've got. I'd say at least 720 upwards, double. But we can actually see the frames that he's got it from, and we want to know what's happened to the video, why we can't see it in the video, because we've got to be careful of stuff being doctored by overlay and immersion, something that looks like a UFO. But this thumb is actually wrong. He's actually stretched it in the video editing, and if you squeeze it down, it actually matches the size of this one perfectly. But we'll go over that with Robert. We've got permission to talk about it and all that sort of stuff coming up. So yeah, of course, he keeps repeating the same old garbage here, Tyler, as Qqqvid has pointed out, and it just gets a bit boring. So,
today's video, we have this new report here where a United States submarine, as you just saw in that video in the South China Sea, collided with an unknown object. That's what they're calling it at this moment. I'm sure that they will come up with a delightfully simple explanation as to what this object was. And so we had people injured. New details are still coming in, but at this point, all we know is that an unknown object
I wonder if it collided with a whale. Imagine the mess that would make. That what do you call it? Periscope stick, whatever you call it. Collide with a whale. That would slice it in half. Maybe take off the top bits and flood it. Didn't look really serious damage though, did it? We'll just skim
or
over
a
a bit.
disc or an unknown object of...
Okay, so now he's mixing aircraft collisions with birds. Also equally as boring. And of course, not all bird strikes leave blood. But if you look closely, you're probably better to find little specks somewhere. Looks like there might be some on that beaten bit there. But yeah, obviously they have fiberglass cones on the front and have the radar system, a dish in the front here. And yeah, it's often that birds can fly up when the plane's taken off and get sucked into the engines or hit the nose cone or coming into land.
some sort of shape coming near them and hitting the nose of the plane or striking the side of it, causing them to land. And when I heard this submarine story, it brought me back to the old tales from Russia. If you remember, back during the Cold War, a lot of stuff was going on and a lot of files were sealed. Well, back in the 2010s, Russia released a ton of files where we had Russian Navy officers describing what appeared to be a literal USO extravaganza. It was almost as...
Yeah, so that's a really old story that's been repeated so many times in the last 5 years I've been online. But It's funny you didn't mention the Foo Fighters. Now, they don't collide. In the past, when they went past the fighter planes, they would actually, some of them would actually pass through the skin of the craft and hover inside the deck with some of the people standing there looking at it, which kind of sounds a bit like bull lightning in a way. So have the Germans made a way of firing, producing bull lightning or plasma balls that sort of lasted a wee while, and somehow had something embedded in the middle that was keeping the plasma going, that would have limited control over it. Who knows? It would be quite a good disruptive weapon if it was. But we never know what the Russians got from the war, because everybody took a grab of all the leftover paperwork and the engineers. The US obviously got the ones that helped them get into space. Just have a look at the rocket design is really much like Nazi blueprints for the V2. So yeah. So the Russian story here is going to be the one where they saw creatures under the water and stuff. I bet. Let's keep on going. As if they would
see these things under the water of the oceans every other day of the week. Here is an article you're seeing posted by RT, or Russia Today, and I have to say it was really hard to find this article because the original article that this was linked to didn't say very much, and so when I clicked the link to actually get to this article, I could not find it. So then I went back to the Wayback Machine, which allows you to bring up older screen grabs of news stories or websites. You can go back to the first day of YouTube and see what it looks like. And even the Wayback Machine was giving me 404 errors and saying that the page did not exist, but I finally eventually found it. Russian Navy UFO records say aliens love oceans. And I just want to read some of this to you here. And this was published, I believe, 2009, 2010, but it says, quote, "The Russian Navy has declassified its records of encounters with unidentified objects, technologically surpassing anything humanity ever built. The records, dating back to Soviet times, were compiled by a special Navy group collecting reports of unexplained incidents delivered by submarines and military ships. The group was headed by Deputy Navy Commander Admiral..."
But this is the problem. Wouldn't the Russians and the US put out fake stories and confuse each other side that there's actually aliens, while it's actually their top secret stuff being tested? So can we trust anything from these reports? I don't know, unless they release all their files and not have it blacked out. I just can't see how we can take any of this seriously. But like that story about the CIA released, talking about the men returned to pillars of salt. It just sounds crazy. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, like Star Trek. So yeah, it's a bit hard to know. Take these stories with a pinch of salt, really.
Nikolai Smirnov, and the documents reveal numerous cases of possible UFO encounters, the website says. Vladimir Azazov, former Navy officer and a famous Russian UFO researcher, said the materials are of great value, further saying, quote, 50% of UFO encounters are connected with oceans, 15% more with lakes, so UFOs tend to stick to the water. On one occasion, a nuclear submarine that was out on a mission in the Pacific Ocean detected 6 unknown objects, after which they were basically chased, and the captain ordered them to maneuver the sub up to the surface. The objects followed suit, took to the air, and then flew away. So whatever these 6 objects were, they followed the submarine to the surface and then blasted out of the water and into space.
But you've heard the stories of submarines, flying submarines, which fits with cigar-shaped UFOs, doesn't it? Flying submarines. Let's see what we can find on that. mostly South America, wasn't it? Flying submarine. Okay, let's have a look at that. We never know what we're going to find when we do a search like this. Is it a type of plane, is it? Kind of looks like a plain submarine. There you go. Like I said, you never know what you're going to find when you do a search. Flying submarine, submersible aircraft. So obviously they've been mucking around with it since World War II, right? So what else is out there? Well, we never know what DARPA's working on, right? This is the whole problem. And do they communicate what they're going to be testing on? Have they got special permission that's above top secret that the Navy doesn't know about? You know, this is what confuses the UFO narrative even more. Obviously, we're going to have a mix of everything, right? There's going to be alien craft. We know this true. But there's also going to be all this black ops stuff. Soviet Union. So it looks like all these major players are working on stuff, right? It doesn't say much here at all. But obviously this got released in a patent, is it? Yeah, it's a Russian thing. Maybe that's the unknown object that crashed into the submarine. What do you reckon? I don't think they'd be using propellers, but it kind of makes sense that propellers would work underwater if you could waterproof it somehow. I wonder if we got any video of that one working, prototype. What else we got? Russians flying submarine. Okay, let's have a look at that sucker then. Like I said, I never know where my show's going to go. Oh, that's the plane. There you go. Looks like something out of Thunderbird's History Channel looks of it, is it? So, obviously, that got leaked out in the end, whether they don't hear about it anymore. Do we trust History Channel playing? No. But we might be able to pause it and step through it. Let's see what's there.
With the strengths of an aircraft.
So we can do that much. So it's just a model. We ain't going to get any pictures of it working. Looks like a float plane there.
Panels closed.
So it's just an emanation.
Closed to seal.
So why was it scrapped? So is that underwater there, or is that just a simulation again? Anyway, go back again. This plane could fly underwater. Let's have a look at that one. That's looking more like it, isn't it? Cross between a cruise missile with extra engines on it. US Navy. Found and explained. So how long ago was that? This year. There you go. So could that be a Tic Tac? It's got small wings, right? It looks like a little torpedo. Maybe they make white ones instead of black ones. Let's play this. Okay, do you want music? Okay, it kind of looks like a Tic Tac from the side, doesn't it? A little wing sticking up. You could see that on thermal.
Posed a grave threat to land-based cities.
Yeah. Here's another one.
The first design was a...
So that's the first design. Looks very cruise missile torpedo shape.
like a torpedo and had cute little portholes to look out the
Yeah. Okay, let's just carry on. Next one's got a big wing on it.
Submarine attached below like a typical payload.
Okay, so that might be the carrier plane, which is really much like the space shuttle's idea, isn't it? Drop the submarine, which looks like a tic-tac, into the water. So you just don't know what's out there. Now that's a combination one, where it's a plane and the torpedo.
39 feet, or 11.88 meters.
Does that fit in with the size that we're looking for? 38 meters, I think it is, isn't it? And
Range of only 50 miles underwater, or just shy of 100 kilometers. For
okay, so that maybe it's where it's near islands, right, or near the coastline. So it still fits. Could the Navy be covering up something like this? Sure they could.
speed, it was capable of 225 knots, or 258 miles per hour in cruise, or around...
That's pretty fast in the sky with those three engines, right? Does it give off heat though? It'd be good to see it in thermal.
417
Then we can compare it to stuff.
5 feet, or 22 meters below the surface.
Dive depth 22 meters. I suppose that would be enough, wouldn't it? I wonder how fast it goes. Does it say anywhere there?
Of the ocean. The mission profile that was pitched by Qqqvid went something a little bit like this. When a call went out that a submarine...
Okay, we better not use too much of that. I'll post the link to it so you can watch the whole episode. He gets a free plug, this guy. I don't know if he's who he is. No, it's just from the random search. So there you go. DARPA tic-tac. And just another one. We found quite a few of these designs searching like this in previous live shows, so we just don't know what's out there. What else we got? Getting submarines talking to airplanes. Finally. Well, if they've got low frequency radio that goes to the bottom of the sea to 700 feet, I think. I can't see why they couldn't be talking to planes. Anyway. We've got music. MIT. Yeah, damn music. Okay. Some even today never can communicate across the water surface. Okay, what are we looking at here? When pressure waves hit the surface, they cause tiny vibrations. So again, going to talk in it, which is a bit unfortunate. Radar, to pick up these vibrations, we built a very sensitive radar. So could they pick up sound from the air then, off the water of submarines? Looks kind of sounds like it using radar. So if it's got creating ripples of sound, then the radio bounces off it, and then they can translate it into like a speaker movement, couldn't they? Can't be very good though, because you get the sea waves, surely. It looks like they found a way to communicate using that, of all things. So there you go. There's something else that's quite interesting, and that we should know about. Sea to air communication. Do they talk at all? No. They're sending texts, not actually voices. That would make more sense, I guess. And who's working on it? Indians? Indians and Chinese. Who else? There we go. Transmit signal. So clever stuff there. Put a link to that one too, so we've got reference. So we went from the boring Tyler one all into interesting stuff here. New territory. Underwater to air communication. This shows what advanced technology using radar of all things. I don't know how good it would be though. So what else we got? So that was just the top 3 recommends. From sea to sky, submarines that fly, new scientists. That was back in 2010. Okay. And of course, the Tic Tac incident happened in 2004. And here we go. We got, what's that? A real thing? Looks very Thunderbirdy. What's that say there? Flying underwater. So maybe it's a concept drawing then. Again, if you compare that to what we just looked at with the cruise missile type plane, you can see it's got some similar ideas there with like an underwater jet engine. It was almost like a kamikaze thing here with the thing at the top though. But yeah, could it have collided with something like that under the water? Sure it could. And that maybe they got these little kamikaze submarines just lurking under the Chinese Sea, ready to be used on nuclear subs that approach. And good way to take them out, wouldn't it? Common sense, you know. And here we go, we're getting back to that design there, which is now, we just seen the advancement of this. This is the old story. Now we're seeing the new. What's that with the wings here? Flexural waves generate and flexible wingtips could offer stealthy propulsion. So there you go, and there's something else we just found out about. Flexural waves. We need to find out about that. Okay, so this has turned out to be more of a research episode than a debunk now. Flexural waves. Oh well, that'll do. Structured acoustics. Flexural modes. Type of acoustic propagation along, what's that one say? Borehole that is visualized as shaken off the borehole across its diameter. What are they talking about there? Making silent drilling, maybe. You can drill underground and make no sound. I don't see why not. It's possible because we've got noise cancelling headphones nowadays, so you just have to create a opposite wave to what's being generated and it neutralizes it out. Flexural vibration of beams. Longitudinal vibrations can only oscillate at certain frequencies. Each natural frequencies are coupled to a vibration mode. It's getting complicated. You can see what they're studying though. I suppose this might be 2016, so it's been around for a while. Inverse of velocity. Flexural, dispersive, meaning their slowness. Inverse of velocity varies with frequency. And look at the mathematics here. all the data hounds out there if you want to look into that. So that could be how they do stealth. Not hear anything coming. Stealth. Zero sound underwater. Now, if we're finding out about this, you can bet aliens know about it. Where do we get to? What else we got? Wings for symmetrical. Aerofoils provide lift in water. Okay. Hybrid jet turbines also operate in water to provide an alternative to propeller. There we go. And has a snorkel on it. Air supply needed for turbines. I reckon that's gone a step further since then. That new design, I bet it's all battery. Lithium ion carbon batteries probably. Electric motors or electric jet engines, right? We looked at electric jet engines and they are being considered for commercial jets now. But we got the flying cars, right? So that's back in 2010. And then we got this military wiki. But that wasn't what I was looking for. I was actually looking for UFOs, but UFOs. Let's see what comes up. How China's flying submarine drone could change the way. 2021. Here we go. Bet that's a Tic Tac. So it's a bloody Chinese. Not only did they give us the virus, they gave us the Tic Tac as well. So have we got any pictures of it? Well, a drone that goes into the water. Yeah, we know about that. I showed you one that's shaped like a sphere, right? And the props pop out the side. It can lift off the water, can roll around on the water, can go into the water, it can move around on the water, and it can come out on the beach and roll around on the beach. It's a lot better designed than that. But, yeah, it just shows where it's hidden. Underwater USOs, leaked Navy video appears to show UFO off California. 2021, let's have a look at that one. Okay, we've got a black video. Have we got any pictures? No. 16 minutes. Okay, will it play? Good question. Looks like it's not doing anything. Why? Why can't you use YouTube? The video was recorded by July 2019. Oh, it's called Bell crap. If it's from Core Bell, you can guarantee it's not a UFO. UFO Navy has data on unexplained UFO encounters. How about USOs? Spherical UFO plugs into the ocean. Okay, this might be the one I looked at before. Maybe it's something different. Low science. Alright, it's the Core Bell crap again. So yeah, it could be that special drone I found out from DARPA. You have to go and watch the episode. Got some pictures of it. It's also black. It's quite big. And it runs on batteries. I thought they were going to talk about something they found in patents or something. But I still think that one's just a balloon. You can't see the line, but it will have a weighted balloon that was dragging along in the water current. And it gradually got lower and lower, which balloons tend to do. And it got swamped with a wave and maybe popped. And then the weights on the end took it deeper. And made it drift off course probably too. So they never found any debris, right? Okay, let's do image. Okay. See what we got. So again, we've got the plane. We've got the drone story. Let's over this one. The Trent UFO, which is a truck mirror. I have to bunk that one. It's a bit of a shame, but that's the way it goes. Adamski UFO, what's his name? George. He was proven to have fabricated it from lampshades and bulbs by General Electric because he forgot to scrub off the trademark on the bulbs. And when he didn't expect there to be higher technology today where they could scan it in at 4K and see the finer details on his model. But that's what happened. Someone decided to get the negatives again. What the hell happened there? Yeah. What else we got? Anything useful here? Antarctica UFOs. Probably have to cover that again sometime too. Seems to always come back in circles, all these old stories, right? Maybe it's a new generation each year, I don't know. But yeah, there's nothing much there in the images. So back to Secure Team anyway, let's see where he's going to go.
The article goes on to say that many mysterious events have happened in the region of the Bermuda Triangle. We all know that. I've done many videos on it. You can simply search the term Bermuda Triangle on my channel and you'll get a ton of videos. But one submarine commander, Rear Admiral Yuri Bekitov, said that his instruments malfunctioned with no apparent reason or would detect a strong interference. The former Navy officer says this could have...
Okay, so we found in our recent research of these large asteroids that impacted a million years ago, and one of them is right over Bermuda Triangle area. And these are known to have high iron content and magnetized, and that mucks around with the compass. So there's no mystery there why the Baltic Sea also has the same, because there were asteroid impacts. So we won't go over that again. I need to come back to that research anyway. We started it. There's lots of things we need to do. We need to do lots of different things that we started to finish off.
Been a deliberate disruption by the UFOs or USOs. The submarine commander further stated, quote, "On several occasions, the instruments gave readings of material objects moving at incredible speeds. Calculations showed speeds of about 230 knots, of 400 kilometers per hour. Speeding so fast is a challenge even on the surface, but water resistance..."
So we don't have the false positives though, do we? If it's mucking around with their compass, couldn't it be mucking around with other electronics in the submarines? Could well do, right? It might be some new Chinese jamming technology even. And hypersonic submarines, I don't know, we never typed that in either. Maybe they're working on something there. Hypersonic underwater drones, maybe. Let's see. Drones exist. Rockets exist, so why not drones? USA prepares to test a hypersonic drone that can fly 5 times the speed of sound. Mach 5. So hypersonic is Mach 5 or higher. Can you do it underwater though? We've got that water pressure. I reckon you can if you can create a frontal vortex where it creates a hole. A bit like an underwater tornado, right? What kind of energy would be required to produce that? I don't know. But I know if you watch my episode on... Again, it's all about science and research and figuring out stuff. Scheisberger. I can't spell his name though. Scheisberger. Is that how you spell it? No, but let's see. Ghost rockets is the easiest word to use. So I believe he's the one behind Victor Scheisberger, because it's hard to spell his name. If you've not watched that documentary I did here, it's quite interesting what I found out compared to the shape of the so-called ghost ships. So yeah, if they were mucking about that in 1942, what would they have today? Maybe they're using his idea of creating a vortex which allows things then to move pretty fast underwater. Victor. Ghost rockets. Now they're only around for a short period of time, which is another mystery in itself. What else we got here? Mother of all drones, indeed. When was that published? Of course, Mach 5 doesn't compare to the so-called limits coming from high above to sea level speed, which was like 1200 G-force. That would just simply crush any plane or drone skeleton, right? Looking at the year. So this come out in August only this year. So yeah, as you can see why the government's never ever going to be damn honest about anything, especially the military complex, right? And here we go. What we were just looking at before, underwater craft. Doesn't that look like the Tic Tac again? Eh? Damn. Concept design, yeah. I bet they call it the quantum bubble submergible craft or something that's got some sort of scientific cool name. Now they got a little video there, and that one looks like the Thunderbirds again. Surely that doesn't go underwater, does it? Maybe. A similar model is being tested by the Air Force. Tried to prime the commercial pump for flying cars. Okay. So that is one of their concept designs. And doesn't it look like a triangle? And you've heard about these triangles that come out to sea. Is that what they're covering up? Again, we got a mix of Black Ops and alien craft. I personally think that they're two separate things, right? And we're getting a crossover mix of all the stories. So I'll just post that link there, because that's another thing we just found that's really damn interesting. It's 71. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But maybe they got underwater version now. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was definitely best plane. Tic-tac. But you can see these stories are only just coming out now, after all the UFO stuff. So I wonder if the UFO narrative is going to change again. Sorry folks, it wasn't a Roswell crash, it was us. It wasn't a submarine crash with a UFO. It's one of our experimental drones. Look, the Russians and the Chinese are complaining, but the Russians have got a nuclear-armed underwater drone. Just what we need in the world. Let's have a look at it. You can see where that's going to go wrong. You can see a bunch of hairy-faced cave drilling terrorists getting their hands on that. So in 8 years. So when was this article posted? 2019. So what's that? 2027. So watch out for that, guys. This is going to be probably seen as a UFO. Have we got any pictures of it? No. I bet it's shaped like a damn tic-tac. So yeah, let's keep an eye on that story. So it might pop up. Russian nuke. So if it's nuclear, does it mean it's nuclear powered or nuclear armed? It says nuclear armed here, but how about nuclear power? Now that means it could be underwater indefinitely, couldn't it? And if they give it artificial intelligence, that scares the crap out of me. For someone that actually worked on artificial intelligence at high school, before it was a buzzword, you could actually get computers to start learning and acting on information you give it. But it depends on how good your code is. It's not really like the human brain works, but it can use algorithms to process data very fast and actually compare what you're saying to what it knows, whatever you train it. I was actually making my artificial research was, how would you train a computer to learn? So I started with, first of all, giving it some concept of how to understand English sentence typed to it, and pulling out the keywords and actually creating a orientated object of the words to describe like a dog. You could keep talking about a dog, all the characteristics of a dog, and it would actually start connecting all the things to dog, and it would have a picture, a word picture, not actual image, so to speak. And then it could actually ask you questions based on the object it knows. Now this is what I was working on at school, on 8-bit micros. It was ahead of its time. And of course life got in the way of it, and all my clever brain, and the teen brain I had then, sort of slowly dissolved away with the diabetes. Now diabetes really impacts your thinking process. But I had all this fast acting code which could do pattern matching. It was quite impressive. I look back at it now, what I'd done, and I can't even understand what I did back when I was a teen. That's how complex the mathematics was, and to get it really fast on really slow computers. Nowadays, when you run it in fast mode on a computer, on an emulator, it thinks within a few seconds, bang, and on an old computer it would take like a minute. So yeah, but it looks like Google's sort of heading that way. So what Google's doing nowadays is what I was working way back in the 1990s, early 1990s, on these old computers. with your Google Assistant. I was actually had something like that going, but it was only we didn't have voice recognition. I didn't have that part of it going, but I could have it speak back to you, of course, even on 8-bit micro. But it wasn't really good. We were limited by the technology back then. The ideas were flowing, but the technology wasn't quite there yet. So I sort of put it on the back burner. But I should have really done that as a PhD at university, probably. But yeah, that was quite something I got in a dream. I get a lot of ideas in dream, and I have like million bits of code in my head. But I can't do that anymore. Diabetes has sort of destroyed it. Maybe that's maybe it was planned. But anyway, enough about me. And people think I'm bragging, but no, I just found it really interesting, and who knows? We could have had Terminator today if I carried on with it. So yeah, let's just go back to security here. What are you saying? Artificial is a big mistake in my opinion. It's so easy to miss out something in the programming. It can be a benefit to humans. It doesn't have to be evil, but the way I was experimenting was if you could feed anything to a computer, even if it's a total lie, and then that's all it knows, right? So it's just like a human, right? If you take a kid and teach it to be like a neo-Nazi, right? That's all it's going to know. Hatred of others. So a computer would be exactly the same scenario. But now they're talking about neural networks and biological processing that can simulate the human brain. Then that's like another step out, because in early AI it's all programmed and restricted, right? It only works by how you program it to think and what you want to do with that information. But you can program good or bad into it, right? You could probably teach it how to assemble a gun and fire it. Technically, if you gave it like robotic limbs and stuff. Anyway, don't want to get into that. That's the sort of stuff I was thinking back in teen years. Quite a few years ago now, when I was 18 or younger. So people were amazed what I was doing at school. And I got some good friends from it. I still got a friend who's a .com millionaire. He's much more clever than I was, but I sort of blew him away on the stuff I was working on. So it's horses for courses, right? So we're still good friends, and we get together sometimes. We used to make music and synthesizers. I was this guy that was actually a true hardware hacker. Back in the old days, they used to call them hackers, a bit like Steve's Jobs' mate. What's his name? I keep forgetting about it. It's a strange name. But anyway, he was a bit of a hardware hacker, and he was the one that made the first Apple II, of course. But I was a wee bit the same. I'd pull apart a computer, wire cables to it, and have it hooked up with sensors onto a standard keyboard to be able to record music. And it worked quite well before MIDI came out. Technology, with changes in technology, led you to progress from those point onwards. So I had these high-end coders that I was a low-level computer operator running $1 million mainframes for this company, and I had this programmer guy who was writing in COBOL, processing accounts and shipping, and he come over to my house and saw what I was up to. He's saying, "Wow, this is amazing." So we demonstrated some of the stuff I was doing, and my mate was there, played a few sounds to this 8-bit micro, and it would play it back. Of course, we only had really basic sound chips back in those days, but it was pretty amazing stuff. Nowadays, the kids are so sport with their 3D gaming and all that sort of stuff, and yeah, they just don't know what it's like to be, you know, you get a little thing that looks like a calculator and pull it apart, and it's actually had more power than what was in the rocket launchers, and what you could do with it. As an imagination of your mind, really, and your skill level. But then I got into jobs, and then was just really a troubleshooter, a fast troubleshooter for companies with their computer problems. When I went over to Australia, I was given a role, and they hadn't even given me a login or password or anything like that. And I said, what do you want me to do then? You haven't given me basic entry to the system. And of course, I've never used the mainframe interface into the Windows back then. They were using terminal emulators to connect to the mainframe to run these powerful programs, because it could run faster than PCs. And there was all sorts of interface problems because they rolled out NT and they hadn't done any basic quality assurance testing, and none of the software was working. So they wanted me to fix it. They wanted me to find where it wasn't being installed on NT, and so I was sifting through registry settings and trying to find what the installed program was meant to do and set up, and see what was missing. And I would turn on stuff manually to get the software running, and would have like a basic troubleshooting guide that the help desk could use to step through and get the software working for the managers. And that was what I was doing in Australia back in 1998, and I was getting paid like $40 an hour. So, but yeah, it's amazing. And of course, I didn't know anything about their software systems, and they didn't know either. They simply just didn't even give us a login. Next day there was a login, so straight away I said, well, okay, so where's all your training manuals, how to use the software? Oh, we don't have any. So I started looking at, he said, just go to it and just play around with stuff. So I started playing around with it and writing down notes, and I wrote up this little manual for myself, and I come in a week later, they said, oh, we've stolen your manual off your system, it's ours now. We're going to use it for a training manual. Because I was a tutor in university prior to that, and I was doing creating manuals for teaching. And so, yeah, that's how they operate in these big companies. I said, you didn't have to steal it, you just had to ask me. And I'd given you a copy. But anything on their system they own. So yeah. So yeah, the good old days. But if you got the brains, you got the knowledge, people will pay you the big bucks. So yeah, now I'm in ufology trying to sort that out, and that's a bigger mess than any computer system I've come across. As we got here with security team putting out all sorts of fake news and bits and pieces together. So let's go from here.
Is much higher. It was like the objects defied the laws of physics, and there's only one explanation. The creatures who built them far surpass us in development. Navy intelligence veteran Captain First Rank Igor Barclay commented, quote, ocean UFOs would often show up wherever our...
Okay, this is apparently a CGI video from Section 51. This one here. Is it like a water tornado or something they put up? I can't remember now. A UFO over the ocean. I think Scott Brando may have posted out something again about it. He's keeping an eye on what garbage he's recycling again. Where's Scott Brando here? Let's see. Is it that one? Nope. Old hoax, whatever it is. Which one are we looking at here?
Okay, so here I am out here in September, and as you can see, there's obviously a really very clear planet that is right north of the...
Okay, so we're looking at lens flare or something there. Okay, that's not the one though. An old fake debunked. Fake created an iOS app. Okay, we've seen that one. That's when the things move around in the sky. Chinese lanterns. Oh, right. So Chinese festive season at the moment. So we're going to get a lot more of these pop up with the Chinese lanterns, right? So, oh, such mysteries in this world. All those UFOs. Are people really that stupid out there? I just find it so boring. I need a punch bag with a picture of Tyler's face on it and a few other people's faces too. Here we go, my old video. Is this the one? Not sure. It's this one here. So he's showing here that it's actually a lens flare artifact that you can just import through Adobe Artifacts, After Effects here, and the only way to see it is to zoom in there. See, there's the very bright white lens flare happening, and you can see it's the same as over here. That's one way to catch people out. Okay, what's this one? Same thing, lens flare. Scott does that quite a lot. He repeats it. But at least someone's doing it. UFO Mania lost its monetization. When was that though? They certainly are this year. So they're still making good money. That channel. They mixed in some credible news stories, a bit like what Tyler's doing actually, with fake news and fake stuff, which totally ruined their channel, because some of the news items were credible, even if they said it's theory or fantasy or whatever, and they still could have made a really decent channel there without mixing it up with fake stuff. Or at least come clean the next time, say, oh, we got caught out in this story, it's actually CGI or whatever. Cannot imagine how many reports received of planes that look like Tic Tacs. Yeah, we got some of those to do soon. And yeah, the old famous International Space Station cropped reflections or out of focus nonsense, and there's that winged creature is actually the robot arm again. How many times is that robot arm showing up in these fakes? Oh, here we go, finally, security, new logo, old stuff recycled. One of the random UFO images that he puts into his stories, published by the Hoax Channel. He's not a hoaxer. Yes, he is. Security 10. It's amazing how many people I still get that don't know that Tyler has faked videos, He doesn't do it so much now, but he recycles the fakes from other people as well as himself. Remember the image he took from UK and claimed it was over CERN? That's the sort of thing he does. Section 51. There you go. And my memory's still pretty good. My image pattern matching memory is really, really good on this sort of stuff. Not everybody can do it. But there, just to prove it, that one's done.
or NATO's fleets would concentrate. Near the Bahamas, the Bermudas, Puerto Rico, they are most often seen in the deepest part of the Atlantic Ocean, in the southern part of the Bermuda Triangle.
See, he's always been good at writing these little script stories, right? He probably could write a series of books for kids, right, and probably make millions of dollars from it. He probably should get out the UFO field and stop polluting it, and actually maybe do something good for once. If you listen to his scripted leaker stuff that he did, that I've exposed, he would have spent hours writing it up. He's really good at doing that sort of stuff. He has got some sort of skills and talent, and he's really good at making money from it. And gullibles suck it up. And it's not to be anything about jealousy, he couldn't do anything I could do, especially with artificial intelligence or coding, let alone making this avatar up here in the corner. He couldn't do anything like that. Not many people can, right?
And also in the Caribbean Sea. And so I'll post the
and
full
plus I'm
link
probably double
to
his age.
this story here, where you can read all of the other Russian sailors and admirals and captains' accounts of these strange USOs.
Here we go. He's mixing this one in again. How many times must I see this? It really, really pisses me off, this one. This is a long exposure of a helicopter putting down a search beam on a coastline. Probably a search and rescue helicopter. Let's catch up on the side comments. Looks like we only got Qqqvid on today. What have we got here? Paul. Yeah, it's a mess. Yeah, it is indeed. Much bullshit. Yes, people really are that stupid. I just don't believe it though. Especially the newer generation, they should be more clued up because we've got all that technology now. Back in my day, to find out stuff on science and how to repair something, we had to go to the library and look it up. Nowadays, it's just a few clicks away and search on Google, right? And we can find blueprints and how to repair this, how to repair that, and pull it apart, and how to use a soldering iron and all that sort of stuff. You can find lots of tutorials and stuff and self-learn. I wish I had that back in my day. I'd be way ahead of the curve now, but before my health slowed me down. But I won't say my feeling about him here. Oh, you chicken. Might to get you monetized. Don't know, but side chat. As long as you don't use swear words, I suppose, or hate speech, you should be right. I don't really hate the guy though. Sometimes I admire what he's done, but I couldn't do what he does without having a conscience, There's a lot of clever people in ufology, there really is. They're clever at marketing, some are good at graphics, some are good with their language and words. I'm not. I never thought I'd ever be a host of a live stream because I didn't think I was able to communicate fast enough across, a bit like Alien Addict. It has some trouble with words, but I think practice, you get better and better. Yeah, and of course, having some decent co-hosts that sort of help you out does help as well. Now, John was really good. He's got perfect English, right? And he's a fairly good guy, He does donate to me, so he gave me this laptop, so I can only say nice things about him, but you got to remember he was a hardcore Secure Team fan. He was paying him money until he found my channel, and he was all angry at me and abusive. And then he kept watching it and he said, "Damn, that Paul's bloody right. I've been conned." And now then he thinks back to all the stupid things where he sent out Tyler's videos to various friends, and now he's just so embarrassed that he did that. Like he's got some guy that works in the Met Office studying the weather and all that sort of stuff, and he sent secure things fear-mongering thing that the weather's changing and it's done by harp and all this sort of stuff, and it the boom sounds is a sign of impending doom and all this sort of stuff, and his relative didn't reply back apparently. Obviously they knew about security better than he did at that time, but now you see John on the side chat. He's a bigger debunker than I am now. You got to remember, he believed everything he was seeing before, and now he's so critical, maybe even more critical than I ever was when I look at stuff. And then, but then I'd show him that not all videos are explainable, and it's those ones that we're trying to find, like the one with the Rob that come out, Robert brought out. So yeah, it's a big story on that. Let's see if we can tell more about it, what happened there with MUFON, whether we're allowed to tell it or not. I'm not too sure. I'll leave it up to Robert. But yeah, this is the problem with ufology. There's a lot of stuff people have seen, which are like the smoking gun evidence that we're looking for. They just keep it under wraps. They don't bring it out into the public. And even if they get it checked out by MUFON, they stop it being made public still, which is not what MUFON likes, because they like to then promote that video and try and sell tickets in their magazine with the images in it before making it more available, in the sense that they do sell stuff obviously to the TV networks over there, right? So they do make money off it, and that's the problem with MUFON, is they take full copyright ownership of the videos and stuff, which is good if you're a person that's really interested in the truth and not the money. But you might get peed off that MUFON makes $1 million from your video though, and you'll scrape and buy, living week by week. So you can see why people just are resistant with MUFON. And they need to change the way that works, I think. Maybe they should be into profit sharing. Like saying, oh yeah, we'll use it, we'll promote it, and we'll give you a cut. That would probably work a lot better, I think. What do you think on that one? I hate the prick. Do you? I don't really hate him, but he does have that smug look to him, which kind of pees off me in that sense, I guess. If you go to his Twitter account, is that the one? He's got these little smug pictures of himself. So we've got to come to all this yet, but I've sort of got sidetracked. Here we go, look. This just looks like up yours straight away. Up you haters. That looks smug. It doesn't look like someone that was near death to me. He's living the life, right? On all that money coming in. Look at that little smirk. He's got that little smirk on his face all the time. I just don't like him when I see that. I think, well, that's the real Tyler when we see that. And he does put up other stuff too, like that. Here's another one. And he's got that little smirk on his face. But he's got this, the eyebrow thing going, right? The Bert from what is it, Sesame Street look. But he's got that sort of little grin look on it. It's almost like he only wears the merc inside his house. You wouldn't see him wearing it outside because he'd probably get beaten up. Tell the truth. Yeah, and that's why I made that little emanation of him, right? This one here. let's see, 1-1. I'll just do it small. Have I got, what am I doing? Hello. It's actually size 2. It's a bigger one. What's up, guys? Hey, Qqqvid. You want to interview me? We can do an interview if you want. So, Alien Grey's working at the same time here. Normally I have it flipped through another mic system which can modify the voice. But again, that's another project in progress, trying to improve the software I'm using. The license for all that stuff is not cheap either. Yeah, I could write my own code and stuff given many months. Because I used to do that sort of stuff for machine code on the old 8-bit micros, but FOIA analysis and chop out harmonics and stuff. But yeah, there's Tyler, or Ty Liar as I call him. But yeah, I could make up a funny sketch of him being interviewed with these guys. He's a godshit that doesn't have the ball to come on with me because he knows he'll rip him a new a-hole. Yeah, yes, he would be scared, I think. The thing is, he's never come clean, right? I think people would have forgiven them, maybe, in UFO field and still having a lot of income coming in, because, I don't know, people just seem to like him for some reason. Especially the younger generation, right? I think if he come clean and said, yeah, he did actually make fakes and used his voice, instead of making up excuses like he'd done in the past with Mr. Ken, saying that the audio was too bad, that he had to repeat it in the script with his own voice, but why then modify it? You know? It's just stupid, really. He could have done, that was one of the most stupid video mistakes he's ever done. He could have done the same thing, right, and did say he received the audio, but I'm not allowed to play it, and I'm just going to read it out with my own voice, right? So the guy didn't want his voice being known. He could have done it a lot better, but he got lazy and greedy, and so he got caught out. And that's what happens with most hoaxes. Eventually they get caught out. Yeah, it looks like he's a wee bit needing to go to the toilet there. He looks a bit stiff, doesn't he? He needs like a bourbon and coke. Actually, he's probably not allowed that anymore. Not with the pancreas being gone. But he has got other images like that where it's a bit up here. Is that another one of his? There he goes. He's just out at 3 a.m. getting a coffee, folks. That's all. No drugs. Why would he say that even? Yeah, right. He's up at 3 a.m. buying a coffee. People that sleep strange hours or are wide awake on drugs or something, or still coming down. Okay, so this is another one where it seems to be like
What's
up yours
up, guys?
again.
So,
What's up, guys?
yeah, I know I haven't put up a video in 5-6 days. It's been a hell of a week.
Oh, you
I'm
poor
gonna get a
thing.
video up. I'm working on it when I get home, so it's been one of those weeks. So stay tuned. All right.
So he's sort of aggressive there at the end. You can see the way he did the body language with the nose.
What's up, guys? So yeah, I know I haven't.
So he's getting a bit of hassle in the comments, is he? Just watch
it's
the
been one of
nose
those
here.
weeks. So stay tuned. All right. What's up, guys? So
I missed it. Just watch his nose. How he sort of has a little sneer.
it's been one of those weeks. So stay tuned. All right. What's up?
And he also raised his eyebrows there. Yeah. And people send them stuff, which is amazing. You got that LED light. I was just surprised. Well, here's another one. That looks like Up Yours again. Look, you know. Up Yours, sad look. Anyway. But this is, again, fake. We'll just go through it.
But as mentioned a second ago, where a lot of these things would show up, one of them was near Puerto Rico. And I don't have to remind you guys.
So I've debunked this at least 3 times now. It's 2 heart-shaped fire balloons, and Mick West has also got a big page on it as well, and he's also got the same conclusion, and also some other military guy also, or was it a UFO investigator, I'm not too sure, has also got the same conclusion. But they create pages and pages of information on it, and triangulations and mathematics, and yeah, I just like keep things simple, stupid. He's never going to come clean, no. If he did put up a video, even if he put up that one that Lions Ground got him to do, right? That's still on Lions Ground's channel. No one's going to watch it there. It would have been part of my agreement that he puts it up on his channel. And really did change. He said he promised to change to be better. And he hasn't. He's actually got worse, if anything. So he says made mistakes. Yeah. Hey, look, we all make mistakes. But you got to remember, he's made lots of money from those mistakes, if that's the case. So, yeah, it's given him a good living. But yeah, he's really polluted a field that everybody's really wants the answer to, and people just don't see it still, which is kind of frustrating. So this is again getting misinformation on this video, being UFOs that enter in the water.
Of one of the best, if not, in my opinion, the single best evidence of an ocean-connected, unidentified object.
There you go. I didn't even have to listen to it.
Video by a government jet off the coast of Puerto Rico, where, if you remember, it was in infrared. The object was spotted flying over the airport, where it then descended down into the water, never slowing in its speed for even a moment.
So why it disappeared is because it rotated around where the candles were inside the balloons, and of course the thermal camera sort of lost image in it, sort of blended in with the sea temperature.
Now here's a website where George Knapp and a man
and it rotates again, it looks like it's coming out. George Knapp.
Rich Hoffman. Well, Mr. Hoffman was one of the principal analyzers of the Puerto Rico incident, and included in this news story is an interview where he shows us exactly what happened that night and some of the other very mysterious things that were happening off the coast of Puerto Rico in the ocean at that time. So take a listen and a watch.
So again, it looks like more misinformation coming from George Knapp. What did he say? What flies in the air sips through the ocean, splits in two. That's been so debunked, man. And this is a problem with George Knapp too. You know, 4 years ago, I approached George Knapp, and he was actually talking to me on Facebook. And it was about Tyler. I said, do you know that Tyler has been caught out faking 100%? He wasn't interested. He's not interested in debunkers. He's not interested in getting the truth out there about the biggest number one UFO influencer. Why, is the question. And of course, then you see them all mates outside restaurants having cups of tea or whatever, you know, in Vegas with Corbell. That's why. This is why I don't trust any of these big names who are meant to be professional journalists to actually get the truth out there. They're not interested in the truth. They're interested in their own pockets. Don't care what they say about George Knapp. I've had my interactions with him, and in the end I had to end up blocking him. All he did is tried to fob me off. He said, "I'll send it to above top secret website," but it was already articles about secure team on there. But I had the evidence, the actual voice things I did that he could have used. He could have put it on his prime time news thing, but no. Could you imagine what a shake-up that would have done 4 years ago to the UFO field? Would have changed it to what it is today. But no one listens to me.
To this here.
Work on this very well. And we passed that, and we basically honored the fact that we're not going to talk about the witness's name, and we're not going to give that, but we wanted to do this scientifically. So we spent
Hey Dan, how's it
2
going?
consecutive years analyzing 7,027 frames of a 3-minute and 54-second video from that Qqqvid case. And we were going like down to the pixel level, looking to see if we could make out any kinds of determinations. And we also saw it in moving underneath the water. We said, well, what's that about? You know, how do you have an object that's below water showing this in thermal?
So isn't it? It's all wrong. It's not below water, it's in front of the water. So who's that expert meant to be? You see, again, there's experts of experts. Really annoys the crap out of me. It really does. Yeah, sorry Dan if I'm going off topic, but yeah, it ends up being a rant a bit sometimes, as you know. Because, yeah, I'm so passionate about the truth, and all I see is crap all the time. And here's another thing that's just bringing it back around again, and this is going to probably annoy the crap out of Scott Brando too, and Mick West, and all that.
Well, the thing is, if you think of, there's a thing called a Bernoulli hump that you experience where the water...
Who is this guy? He's got a bow tie, he looks a bit of a clown. Is he meant to be a scientist, a PhD person, or what? Who is he? See, I don't know all these faces, talking heads. Because I just get sick of hearing these idiots make the wrong conclusions.
Moving underwater, it's displacing the water around it, and you now get a rise, and that change in temperature would allow you to be able to factor out that, well, okay, that's what the object is doing. It's moving underwater, it's actually displacing the water on the top, and it's changing the temperature, and that's what you're seeing, a ghost thing. So we literally
totally wrong. That video, this is physics, but it's totally wrong. It's because it's faded a wee bit and it's sort of blended in with the background.
Many ways, looked at it multiple thousands of times, and produced our report.
The SCU team put together animation which shows the sequence of events. Unknown
Doesn't matter, George, and that if they put an animation or not. It's a damn fire balloons.
Were seen off and on, both visually and on radar. Blips and lights that appeared, disappeared, and appeared again.
Okay, this might be different. Maybe they're mixing stories here. Maybe those two Puerto Rico ones is not what he's talking about. He's talking about some other sightings. So that would change it.
Different spots just beyond the airport runway. The white objects on the screen are ones which were detected on radar, but which had no transponder signals associated with the known aircraft.
And of course, there's a hotel beach up here that has wedding parties. They are always releasing these sky lanterns, and that's going to be where it's going to drift across. It's always going to drift across this direction with the wind. So, yeah.
A Department of Homeland Security plane was preparing to take off.
Why don't you describe the sequence of events that are shown on the film for those who don't know?
No problem. So let me tell you the story. Back up here. It's about 9 o'clock in the evening. It's completely pitch dark, and this is in April, so it's still pitch dark, and this is in Puerto Rico, and the Dash 8 aircraft loaded with 4 different people on board. It's a crew of 4. You have a pilot, co-pilot, you have a radar operator, and you also have a camera operator that are sitting in the back. And they're off on a drug smuggling mission. You know, that's what Homeland Security does. There's a lot of activity with that kind of thing down in Puerto Rico. And so ultimately, they're taking off from the Rafael Hernandez Airport, and they're going from, the airport kind of goes from a southwest to a northeast. So if you're taking off, you're going...
So what I find annoying is his adding the music over the voice interviews here. It's the same as Third Phase does it. It's off-putting.
Going directly into that wind that I talked about, right? So it was about 9 o'clock in the evening. There's a full moon, and there are about 50 hits of radar out in the water just to the north, a little bit more to the west of that airport, just offshore. And there's these 50 hits of this object that's doing some incredible changing and maneuvers, and in and of itself is pretty wild. And then you've got about 1916 or so, this plane is now taking off.
So I'm not too sure if we got permission to play that too much. No doubt he's mates with George Knapp, as I explained that story. So they're probably working together to boost up the incomes.
And it's starting to gain, it's got cleared for takeoff. It's now up at just maybe about 400 feet or so. The pilots are now looking over and they're seeing a light, a pinkish white light that is now coming in from the ocean and toward the airport. And it's going to be right in the flight path that they're going to go off on. And so they contacted the tower and said, I thought you had us cleared for takeoff, and what is this? And
light lantern.
They said that they saw the light as well from the control tower. So the crew decided that they would fly around it in a big circle. And so they started flying counterclockwise in a circle around the airport, and they were watching this thing. Well, the light then goes off. And they thought, well, okay, this could be drug smugglers, because that's one of the
it could be a Chinese lantern that ran out of fuel.
Drugs or whatever they're going to do. And so they kept going around. And so when they get to about the same area where they actually took off of, when it went dark, the pilot contacted behind him the camera operator and said, turn on the thermal and let's record this. So now you got that camera operator.
So he's talking about this footage all the time. So the 50 hits out to sea. Either is not related to these two Chinese lanterns. It's maybe a totally separate thing. Or maybe it's just Chinese lanterns that sort of showed up once they got to a certain altitude, right? If it's too close to sea level as it's going up, then they sort of went out, right, and sort of went down to the sea, right? But two of them sort of drifted over the airport here. But anyway, it's been debunked, all that. So yeah, again, they're pushing a new narrative again, that this is actually legit and not debunked. And it is. And they'll keep making money of it. It's so frustrating. Okay, what else we got here? We got this new one here. Do we do... I suppose we do it and do Nocturnal news. We've got some leftovers.
Hey, what is up, guys? Tyler here with Secure Team. We have got a very interesting finding. A new image from the surface of planet Mars that would look to show an unidentified crashed object partially dug into the Martian dirt. So the image in question here, here's the full zoomed out view of this, and I'll put the link to this.
So, it could be space debris from a failed mission from Earth, or a comet crash into the ground. No, it's got to be a UFO crash.
This down in the video description. You guys can go and check it out. So, here we are, and the object in question you will find down here at the bottom. So, let's go ahead and zoom in on this object. First thing you'll probably notice is that this object is definitely a three-dimensional structure. How do we know this? Well, we can see the edges protruding from it, and we can see the shadow of the object being cast down on the surface below it. And to the right of the object, we have what looks like a...
And what the hell are we looking at, first of all? He's talking about objects. So he's talking about this whole thing. It looks like a... I don't know, it kind of looks like the Road... what's that guy? Dr. Rhodes photograph. 2 weeks after Kenneth Arnold talked about these flying saucers, he saw two kinds. One shaped like a crescent half. I mean, not, well, crescent, but looked like a D structure, and the other ones were V-shaped, like flying wings, you know, from Nazi reclaimed technology. And that's what he's comparing it to here, I think. Kind of looks like a scuttlefish, you know. What's the scuttlefish, they say? Scuttlefish egg, I think it is. Scuttlefish. Let's see what comes up. Is that how you spell it, though? It's one of these squid type things, and you see sometimes there's shells washed up on the beach. I think it's a shell, or maybe it's an egg pod. Let's see what comes up. No, maybe it's a skeleton then. But anyway, shell maybe. I'm not getting any. They do have these funny shells that wash up on the beach in New Zealand anyway. Yeah, Rhodes, Dr. Rhodes, was it? PhD guy. UFO. He's probably talking about that one there. I think I may have spelled his name wrong there. I think it's Road. Images on it. Maybe I need his first name. Road. Something's not right there. UFO, Kenneth Arnold. Is that one of them? Kenneth Arnold. Alright. So you often see this one here. And plus he didn't actually, then he saw the D-shaped one as well. People don't realise that Arnold actually saw two types. We've covered it in past lives. And there was a photograph 2 weeks later by this Road guy which matched the drawing of Arnold of one of the designs. Was that the D-shaped one? Kind of looks like a D shape with triangle bits coming out into the peak, into the middle there. Why I'm not getting it, I don't know. There's the two shapes there. I think it is. One more crescent and the other one was a D shape, but you need to look from the top. There we go. So it was like that he saw the crescent ones and these funny D-shaped type ones, which you've seen them use in the Roswell crash, right? and they believe it's the same craft. For some reason, I'm not too sure why. I tried to find out why. But yeah, if you look at that Roswell craft, it's similar to the D-shaped one with the little peak going out to the end here. But they've made it more into a triangle one there. Let's see. There are other pictures of it. Here we go. They've made it more into a D shape again, with the bit going out there. And here's another design of it. And there's also a model. There you go. Definitely looks like a D type shape happening there. So I don't know why he doesn't make that comparison in his video and make it even better, right? It says it's similar to what Arnold saw, one of the two craft, and also maybe what crashed in Roswell. He would have made a better story.
A sort of a skid mark, but we have this displacement of the soil, as if.
So, is it actually an object, or is it some sort of natural mound of dirt here? You can see, even though they've got a big long orbit scan of this area, it's still pretty low res, isn't it? Low quality. And if that crashed and skidded, it sort of skimmed on the surface in that case, and bits didn't break off behind it. But isn't that similar to the heat shield, you know, the heat shield on some of the stuff as well? From other missions, Mars heat shields. Craft heat shields, which they just dumped onto the surface anyway of Mars. Let's see if there's any images. Okay, what do we got here? SpaceX. What's that one? So here's a heat shield. So if that snapped in half, that would look very similar to what's in that picture. Heat shield. So it's like a little disc leading in front of it. And it can separate down the middle. Same as SpaceX does. So the rover come down, it had a heat shield underneath. They simply released it after it got to a safe distance. So that would be on Mars photo somewhere. And it would have bounced along, of course. So again, depending where that photograph was taken, here's a piece of heat shield here. Alright. We just don't know what he's referring to there, whether it's something already known. But that's how deceptive he can be.
If the object had careened across the surface. Another interesting thing to note is that this object is completely by itself. I mean, it's sitting in the middle of this vast desert. I mean, there's nothing else around it. So just the fact that it's there is strange, and it's obviously not your typical circular crater. And from what I can see, this object definitely has what almost looks like a heart shape to it. And it's partially sticking out of the dirt here. And on the top here, we have what looks like a dome.
Paul's story was way better than this, come on.
Some sort of domed structure. Again, three-dimensional casting shadows. And, you know, that's one of the main things we look at when determining whether something is actually a three-dimensional object, because the sunlight, reflections, the shadows, those are all very telling. Here is an image overlay that was created by another UFO research channel called UFOVNI 2012. Before being damaged, before
There's a
being
known
partially
fraud
buried
channel.
here. Some are saying this is a crashed or landed UFO, possibly an ancient ruin of some sort, a base. Where we had this
because they
dome
modified the
here,
image,
which is actually a possible entranceway down into this structure. Either
I got an idea. Let's crowdfund and send Tyler there to enter into it. How about that? Wouldn't take much. We got SpaceX now. They can drop him off.
way, it definitely sticks out. It's an interesting structure sitting in the middle of this empty Martian desert here. And it's certainly not the first time that we have found similar objects, structures, UFOs, crash sites on Mars. In fact, we have a multitude of visual evidence pointing to these structures being scattered all over the planet. And so we are going to go through some of the best findings on the planet Mars of these anomalous structures.
Okay, so we've got some blurry, dark photograph of so-called crashed UFOs. Oh, look, that's obviously a UFO hangar. Come on. Disguised as a big rock above. So what are we looking at? Maybe another reflective rock underneath. Could be probably icy water there even. We know there's water there now. And it looks kind of a bit like his Antarctica UFO lake one, doesn't it? It's this pareidolia. It kind of looks like two rocks to me. Actually, let's just brighten it up and just have a bit of fun with that one. Let's see, we'll just try it with this thing here, the add-on. So let's brighten it and see what we think it could be. Contrast. So where's the best contrast? Can we see anything now? See, even that little tweak there makes it a wee bit better than his. Well, that looks like a chunk of rock here that's sort of reflective. You can see how reflected the sand here is, and up here, because now we've brightened it. Here it kind of looks like it's more UFO-like, of course. It's got two black holes at the top. But again, I bet it's just a rock. This happens to have two holes on it, look like windows. Could even be a little cat. It looks like a little cat looking underneath a rock there. So we call that one a Mars cat. What do you reckon? What else can we do? Invert it. Does it look more UFO-like now? Actually, it looks more rock-like now, doesn't it? A rock under a rock. You can see that one definitely. You can see the shape to it now. It's not the D shape at all. It's more rock shape. Anyway, let's just carry on. Reset. Let's see what else he's got for us.
Structures, whether it be crash sites, UFOs, artificial looking structures, you name it, we are going to show you.
Okay, look how rocky some of these rocks are here. Of course, we've got no idea how big these are. That's probably only 2 inches big, right? And why did you get rocky rocks like that? Well, they had volcanoes on Mars that create basalt, and basalt is like volcanic rock, and it's really glassy, sharp edges in it. And also you get meteorites with it as well, that crashes in there, melts the ground, and it looks like chunks of it falling down here. And it had millions of years for the wind to erode it a wee bit. Yeah, let's just keep on going.
The best that we have, and by the end, hopefully you'll be able to make up your mind and see a pattern here. So let's go ahead and get started. And we'll just go through.
I forgot to check how loud it was because I turned them down. How loud is it going to Google?
Through these images one by one, just kind of giving a brief description of
Probably
each.
okay, yes.
So because this new image here is sort of being deemed what looks like some sort of crashed site, we'll go ahead and start with some other
Some
intriguing
sort of crash site. Yeah, it kind of looks like it, mate. That over there looks like a bus.
crash sites on the planet Mars, starting with this one here. This is a very
Alright, so what do we got here? It kind of looks like meteorite impact to me. Pareidolia is kicking in though. It kind of looks like a disc embedded into the ground there, but who's to say that all meteorites are big chunks of rock, and some of them might actually be like skipping rocks, you know? Looks like maybe if that's the case, why we got two discs before it's sticking up? Kind of looks like two discs sticking up before it too, right? So to me, I don't think it's going to be a skid mark. It just looks like it. It's going to be something that's sort of been formed by the winds. Maybe ice, you know, past ice, carves it out. Makes it into sharp little edges.
infamous image. Here we see what can only be described as a crash site in the truest sense of the word. We have this large carved out path here, dug into the soil, at the end of which
there's a UFO. And yet it seems to be off course here. If that was a UFO, you'd expect it to be right around the front of this, going around here, but you can see it sort of goes just over midway here. So again, it's just casting a good story, isn't it? In fact, it even looks like a chunk of the rock fell down on top of this one here. And why would you get a round bit? Well, you can see here we've got crater impacts here. So this looks like it's sort of like a crater impact that sort of has been blown with the wind for millions of years, I reckon, and sort of other dirt and stuff piled up around the edge of it. So what's down here? You know, is that part of the same image, right? That looks like a flying saucer there. You can see flying saucers everywhere.
we have a very clear as day, circular, saucer-shaped UFO dug into the Martian dirt, the front end of which is completely covered, as you would expect it to be.
Notice he focused on this one. But I would have focused on that one up there. What's that one up there? Has he merged two images together here or something? Am I missing something? So you can focus on that one.
Crash site in the truest sense of the word. We have this large carved out path here, dug into the soil, at the end of which we have a very clear as day, circular, saucer-shaped UFO dug into the Martian dirt, the front end of which is completely covered, as you would expect it to be.
That is an old-ass picture.
Like
My
this.
brain hurts.
And in terms of crash sites and what we've seen on Earth, and
I've only got a
all
few
the
to go
times
through
you think
still.
back to seeing a crash site anywhere, this is basically what it looks like. And whatever this object is, it has some force to it. Amazing finding.
Yeah, but you got to remember, he's got new people coming into the field all the time, and it's always going to be young people, and they'll look, his one gets promoted, so his will be the first channel they go to. So he can recycle this old photographs and get away with it. And of course, how much money has he made from this? 132,000. His views seem to be dropping, I think. Maybe people are cotton on now. But he's going to still have that hardcore base, right, of probably 40,000 people. which still gets them a fairly good income. So 3 ads, yeah, he's got it fairly long here, probably 3 or 4 ads. We don't see them because we got it blocked. So times that by 4, say, or 3, we'll just be, say 3. That makes it 5,000 views, right? Which is equivalent to $250 US there, as a ballpark. Could be $300. It's not bad for a little short video that is knocked up with old information.
Here we have another one of these sort of perfect carved out paths that you can see is very similar to the one we just showed you. However,
okay, so meteorite impact again. Kind of looks like it, really, doesn't it? So where's the UFO at the end?
when you attempt to find the object that created this path, there is none to be found. So what some have said is that whatever created this, if it was some sort of crashed aircraft, that obviously it was repaired or undamaged and was able to leave the area. And again, another very uniformly created dugout indentation. This is a very interesting image, and we have a few things going on here. However, I want you to train your attention to where we have this circular object. Once again, it looks to be partially buried or dug.
I wonder if this will end up on Proof Is Out There show, this one, because they did the lake one. But yeah, part of this is all to do with terrain. And again, I think, we're looking at... Obviously, it looks like a little cliff face. And some sort of white type, different coloured rock, which... for some reason has formed a curve, and then Mother Nature does crazy things like that. So yeah, it kind of looks like a disc embedded in there if you want to believe what he's telling you.
Into the surface. You know, it's interesting because as we go through these images, you will definitely start to see a pattern. A lot of structures that have been found on Mars are partially buried, or I guess you could say camouflaged into the surface. So many of these aren't...
Yes, it reminds me of Billy Meyer photographs where he hates parking his UFOs into trees. This Tyler likes to find UFOs that like parking into the side of mountains. Maybe because they're not really good drivers. Is that what he's trying to say?
Necessarily crash sites. And if they are, I'm sure many of you are asking yourselves, why?
Now, this pattern here seems to line up with this pattern going around here, which is kind of strange rock formation. It's almost like it's got circular discs formations. It's probably got a special name for it. I'm not a rock scientist by all means, but I'm pretty sure if I look up information on these little, looks like round disc rocks sticking out. Obviously form maybe from ice, who knows? Maybe that's a sign of ice even.
Why, in fact, are there so many crash sites? You would think that an advanced extraterrestrial race would know how to fly their aircraft without crashing every 5 minutes. So,
I just said that.
Many of these objects may not actually be crash sites, but may only look like that when you're observing.
Yeah, and you'll turn it into money.
them in these satellite images. On the other hand, we have many times spoken about the evidence that points to what appears to be a past war that occurred on Mars.
Oh, no.
And we've talked about this in past videos, where we have found, in many cases, what looks like ancient ruins. So if there was some sort of war, then it would definitely be understandable that you would have crashed aircraft or damaged aircraft.
Okay, so I think this is a case of multiple images stitched together with some missing data again. And crisscross images. I bet it's going to be something like that. One day it was dark when they went over it, and another day it was light. and they went another direction. And they haven't filled in all the missing bits and sort of made a ripple effect. But anyway, I'm not going to bother trying to research every image he's got up here.
Here is the original image. I will put the link to this down in the video description. We'll go ahead and zoom in here, and you'll notice just on the edge of this cliff, we have a very reflective, three-dimensional, saucer-shaped structure. The sun is...
right, it's like the Antarctica one. So, could it be like a crater that sort of got half covered here over millions of years with wind and dust blowing into it? Sure, it could be.
reflecting off of one side of it. The other side is in shadow. Definitely a domed structure of some sort. As I said, one of my favorites. And again, it goes back to it may not be an aircraft, it may be. But with the severe weather on Mars, dust storms, what have you, it would be perfectly rational to think that many of these craft would be covered in Martian dust, especially if these installations have been there.
Or craters in Pareidolia where it looks like a dome when it's actually a crater.
For any extended period of time. So, speaking of domed objects, here's another favorite of ours. Another reflective, black, domed object, again on the edge of a cliff that looks to be, it definitely looks to be buried or situated very securely down into the soil. We can see some soil displacement where, again, we see this sort of reflective metallic top. We see the sunlight.
It's got a TR3b reflecting in there. Kind of looks like an eye with some reflection. Yeah, it's just another crater with some of this type of rock and a peak on the side here. Multiple impacts, right? Isn't that nothing big?
Reflecting off of it. Here's the same image with a little bit more enhancement to bring out.
Of course, wee bit of little filters just to make it look more UFO-y. Yeah, you can see it's looks like a little chunk of rock there. You know, it's sort of sharp edges on it because of what we were saying, the type of rock it is, and the wind breaks off bits, you know, into sharp edges and
detail
stuff.
Of the structure. And if you'll notice on the left here, we have what looks like a porthole, a window, or some sort of entrance that very well may...
Oh, good. Like I said, I got that jab sleepiness coming in again.
Object moving through the tunnel. You're seeing that image here.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this has been explained. It's not actually a tunnel. Can't remember what it was called now. But yeah, it's just a funny rock formation.
And you can clearly see this metallic orb, again, reflecting sunlight. So it's highly reflective material, whatever it is, and it does look metallic. So moving on, here we have a very anomalous structure.
Which is very similar to that last one with the sharp rock, right? And here we go, here's the example. And that one's actually shaped into a triangle with various cutouts in it like a pizza. Exactly the same thing as the last picture, but higher quality, obviously, image. And maybe a bigger crater. So what would happen there? So often what would happen is a asteroid would impact the moon and all that would be ejected out. Then 1,000 years later, another impact happens. Probably not that one, but there's probably one further down here, a bigger one, or up there. That impacts and it ejects a lot of molten rock and flows into the old crater, and it forms like a flow. So it's probably a crater impact here where it flowed at some stage into this one. And form that sort of rippling effect. So, you know, it can all be explained,
Found
really.
Sitting inside of a crater. It definitely does not look like it belongs. Go ahead and zoom in here. Notice it has this...
But it's got to be a UFO because it's on security. And of course, this one here, I don't think they could explain it. They thought maybe it was just a really reflected piece of rock where the camera and the sun were just at the right angle. But there also was talk about pockets of methane that would be ejected from the surface, which would be suggestive that there's actually biomicrobes on Mars, which is yet to be determined. So yeah, doesn't prove aliens, but it might prove life.
Go ahead and zoom in here where we had this very bright white light that was seen coming up from the surface, captured by the Mars rover. To this day, still unexplained. NASA has no idea.
Well, actually, they do have ideas, but he's not going to tell you what ideas they said it was, which again is fake news or misleading.
What it is not even attempting to tell us or give us a good excuse as to what this is. Here we have.
I'm pretty sure we could probably search it and actually find it's explained. What you can do. It's gone now. What you can do is take a snapshot of that, right? And do a reverse Google search, and you probably find references, and then how much of that image do we need though to be matched? Probably should have gone more that way too. But we'll see. We'll see if we can find matches for it. So this is where you do your own fact checking, of course. Okay, you want to go to Google, search images, and then you want to go browse, click on camera, search by image, no, upload image, yep, choose file, screen snapshot, and see what they match with. Any there, so it matched up with a few, didn't it? We'll say Mars. Let's see what comes up. Yeah, I don't think we got enough of it. Maybe. Oh, I was meant to use that one. Man, it's got so hot in here. It's like it started off cold, and now the sun's been pouring through, and it's starting to be like an oven in here. I'll have to go and open the door. So you can see this blurry image. This isn't the best one. I think there's a better image out there somewhere. But why make it easy? I think it's not black and white. It's actually coloured as well, if I remember right. But we'll see what comes up. Maybe we've got more of it this time. Okay. Looks like it's come up with volcanoes that time. No, that's not the proper image. NASA yes. Rover. Let's see if that helps it. Extracts first oxygen. Yeah, not seeing it. So the image is not searchable very well, is it? How about tin air? Have we got it here? Yeah. See, that's not finding it either. So that can't be the original image. Bright lights. Rover image. NASA. Let's see what that comes up with. Is that the one? Of a bright light in the distance. NASA. ABC. There we go. So why did their ones come up? Let's have a look. You can see here he's cropped it. What's that colour after all, was it? NASA offers 3 explanations. He said they have no explanations. Bull crap. Let's see what 3 explanations are. Okay, looks like that's a snap from a page, is it? How do we get to read it? I hate that site. There we go. Bright light scene. 1 of 12. Okay, so let's find out the truth. According to NASA, a bright spot appears in a single image taken by the stereo camera's right eye, but the spot doesn't show up in images taken less than a second later by the left eye. In the 2 right eye images, the spot is different locations of the image frame. In both cases, the ground surface level in front of the crater rim on the horizon. It's April the 8th by email. What did I misread it? One possibility is the light is a glint from a rock. That's what I said, wasn't it? Surface reflecting the sun. Mackie said in a statement, when the images were taken each day, the sun was in the same direction as the bright spots, west, north, east, west. I mean, from the rover, and relatively low in the sky. Bingo. Another possibility is the bright spot sunlight reaching the camera image sensor through a vent hole in the camera housing. So it might be a pocket of gas from the camera, which has happened before. So it's not actually a gas pocket from the surface. We're seeing either the vent hole light or a glinty rock. There you go. Another possibility is cosmic ray striking the camera's detector, he added. I thought there was no one with a pocket of gas on the surface of the Mars. But there you go. If he was on his channel, he would have searched it like I just did and put it up there. Busted again, Tyler. He lied. It's still fake news. He said there's no explanation for it. I'll just roll it back here.
Couple years back, we'll go ahead and zoom in here, where we had this very bright white light that was seen coming up from the surface, captured by the Mars rover. To this day, still unexplained. NASA has no idea what it is not even attempting to tell us or give us a good excuse as to what this is.
Fake news.
Here we have what has been called the Disney World Dome, due to its resemblance to the silver dome that you'll find at Epcot Center. where here we can see it's perfectly situated within this crater. Again, partially buried. Here is a side-by-side comparison where we're looking at the Scott South Polar Station, where we have...
So as you know, as I just said before, one crater hits, another one hits next door to it, ejects a lot of molten rock into it like a bowl, and it forms a bigger rock inside. Because normally you get the little peaky bit that shoots up like a drop of water into a pond, right? But sometimes also they get filled up with other rocks from other impacts around it. So yeah, just carrying on. So all these silly ones are meant to be UFO crashes when it's probably just a really bright piece of rock. Inside a crater, looks like a crater going around here. So when you get the right shadow, makes it into that sort of shadow there. And this just might be just one of those piece of rocks that's really shiny, that sort of reflects a lot of light back. So he's going to say that's a shadow here, I bet you. But it looks like it could be a crater. But let's just keep on moving. So again, got all this strange crisscross type rock structure on Mars. With really bright rocks in between. We'll have a special name for it. What we got here? Another one from NASA. Alright, he's coloured it so you can see the UFO. There it is there. Again, you see you got the bright rock coming around, but here it looks like missing data again. There's a strip of blurry edged stuff going across the front here, which looks like a chunk of missing stitching error data, missing data, and also above it there, right? So it kind of looks like something got missing here, sort of makes a saucer out of it. And if you look at the windows, if that's missing data, it's cutting across a triangle bit similar to that there. Next door to it here, cut across it. Kind of makes it look like a triangle window. You can see here the rock face going up here. And the missing data is cutting right across it here. And you can see it looks like it's making a little window. Another window, right? So when he colorizes it,
or saucer shape, where again we have this circular metallic saucer shape with what look like these long rectangular black windows wrapping around.
You can see here
the rim.
It's got a blurry
Here
patch above.
is an enhanced version where we've colored in the terrain, leaving the object here in black and white just to give you a better idea. And again, we notice sunlight reflecting off of this rim. It's a great indication.
That rim is missing data, and because they colorized it, this sort of made it not look like missing data now. Okay, we got birds, is it?
Of another just unknown anomalous object sitting on the surface. This one could be a rock, although due to the uniform shape of it,
yeah, it's most likely a rock, mate. Come on, it could be a rock. Okay, and this is a speck on the lens, I think I recall.
The surface, sitting in the background, almost as if they are watching the rover as it moves across their planet.
Okay, so this was a speck on one of the lens. Alright, so let's just keep on going. What else we got? We've got rover tracks, is it? Don't know. Could be a rock that's rolled down. And it's made that sort of pattern because it's uneven rock.
We have what may be the object that has created this main pair of tracks here. Here we have a very mysterious image that was found recently of what looks like an object that is self-illuminating itself, or illuminating the surface, almost as if it's shining a light onto the Martian surface. Let's go ahead and zoom in here. And again, like many of these images, we have a barren, empty Martian desert, nothing around.
Okay, so without knowing too much about the photograph, it could be just the right angle of the sun as it's going down. It kind of looks like the sun illuminating a really shiny bit of rock there, and the camera's just overexposed it, and it kind of looks like a big searchlight. But just keep on going. What else you got? Anything else for us? More UFOs or shiny bits of rock. Okay, we're back to that one again. So he's just recapping. So we're sort of done with secure team for the time being. That was totally boring, I thought. Mind you, if I read the comments, there'd be a lot of praise for that sort of garbage. Bye-bye. So his cousin, Nocturnal News, is also pumping out the garbage. I suppose we could work backwards on this. I think all these are... Oh no, we got UFO Man even. Alright, I was going to talk about Mick West's thing here too at some stage. About the weather balloon and how the wind direction can be inaccurate. So I wanted to add my own few cents to that video at some stage. And we need to go through that. That's going to probably take a couple of hours to go over that one. Okay, so let's just have a look at Nocturnal News very quickly here and wrap up for the day. I still got to do chapters if I get time, as long as I don't fall asleep. Okay, so contrails. What makes contrails in the sky? Passenger jets. And what do passenger jets do? They always seem to follow the same flight path, the highways in the sky. So we'll start with that. Let's see where we're going to lead to here. Look at that fabulous editing. Just the right blobbiness and effects here. So there's the original. And what is it? Well, it's obviously a plane with a contrail, right? But you can't see the plane. And that's what we call one of those famous short contrails. This is a big one in front of it. And it's obviously further back. And this one's expanded over the time too, probably. So, is that the UFO, is it?
All these planes are following the same path.
Okay, he said planes.
They're not on the radar. Is that even a plane?
Yes. I'm not sure what he means is not on the radar map. Which probably means the formation of military planes with the call signs off. And yeah, they could be just little fighter jets, right? Making little contrails.
Wait, what the hell is that?
So it could be.
And nothing's on flight radar. Any more coming?
Yeah, well, flight radar's not the holy grail. It just helps us. You can see how the contrails are got some slipstreams going the other way. Like this. And you can see here there's different layers of temperature happening where it's sort of breaking up. And it's creating those funny knobbly clouds. knobbly cloud, see, which Tyler used for a fake thing over CERN. Was a plane contrail turning.
Okay, so what are we looking at here? You heard the guy say that he was using a flight tracker and nothing was showing up on radar. You know, he's referring to, you know, the vapor trails that appear to be in formation. You know, kind of like when you go to an air show and you see the vapor trails left behind. That's what it looks like to me. But what I can explain, okay, maybe we can solve half the mystery, but what I cannot explain is what is this weird UFO that is, you know, following, I guess, or tracking.
Just a fighter jet making a short contour trail. Yeah, so there's no mystery there. I hate those kind of videos too now. Unless you can get enough quality, like the video that we got from Robert, and you can pull out the flying saucer from the vapor. This one here does fit the way it's moving and the way it's sort of breaking up the contrail at the very end there and tapering off. As a very short contrail that you get with some certain planes. Certain times of the day and all that sort of stuff. But let's have a look at this next one. What have we got
How are
here?
we doing out there? You know, I wanted to ask you guys a few questions. You'll probably, you know, check out the replay or whatever, but what do you want to see, you know, whenever we start going live? That's the question I have for you guys.
Oh no, he's going live. So he did a live show, did he? I hate to think. Everyone has to do a live show eventually. And he's got a ceiling fan going. And he's in dark because he doesn't like his face on camera.
Beth, I hope you're doing okay out there. Man, I'm okay, I guess. Well, you're alive. Smile. You have friends. But yeah, but the main thing is I don't want to do it, you know, if it's a waste of time or if it's going to bore people to death. Because look, most of these live shows, you know, I can't even watch them for more than like 10 minutes because they're so damn boring, you know?
Your ones are. That's the problem with security. 10 fans only got 10 minutes attention spans because they're gamers mostly.
Or something like, I mean, I don't know. You know, I've been thinking about it. You know, the only thing I can think of is get like an old phone or burner phone or whatever, right? No idea. Maybe get an app like Text Now.
So they want to call in, that's what they're saying. A burner phone. In case it gets hassled, eh? And on to the next one. What's this one?
Alright, another quick video. We're looking at a moon anomaly. Now, it is not...
Come on. It looks like a balloon.
A satellite. It's nothing like, you know, dust on the camera lens. Nothing like that. We'll quickly prove that. Now, what we're looking at, the top light, okay, is the UFO. The bottom is the shadow. What I did, I put...
Okay, so could that be then another balloon below it? You say it's a shadow. It could be lens flare, of course, because it is fairly bright. And someone's probably just mucked around, dimmed it down, and edited it afterwards.
The bottom is the shadow. What I did, I put a filter on it to basically make the black white and the white black to bring out the detail. Okay, you can clearly see this craft coming into frame right here, recorded by an amateur sky watcher.
Of course, that's why the high quality.
Very nice telescope, by the way. Now I found this video on the channel Underbelly 2.0, a great UFO channel. You guys go
A great fraud channel.
sub to Underbelly 2.0. A really cool guy. But look
And
at
that
this
looked like a sort of miler balloon, didn't it? Had square sides and stuff, and it looked like it had a little tube on it. Is he going to zoom in?
Right. I love these moon anomalies, especially when they're authentic. A lot of clickbait out there, a lot of CGI. This is the real deal. You see the little black dot top left right there?
I don't know if
Right
that's
to
a
left, and of
reflection
course,
though.
this is the real deal.
Is
You
it
see the little
lens
black
flare,
dot
or is
top
that
left
just
right
like
there,
a dangling?
going right.
Looks like a dangling line with something like a payload on it. So it could be even a weather balloon. That could be explained why the funny shape, because they lose a lot of the gas and they sort of crumple in.
Real deal. You see the little black dot top left right there, going right to left, and of course I zoom in like always to give you a better look.
Yeah.
Now, if it was a satellite, you wouldn't have a shadow like that on the moon. Number one.
Kind of looks like something connected to that one there, though, doesn't it?
Number two, it's a real video. Okay. Now right here I'm going forwards and backwards. I mean,
Still looks like it might be a payload.
I did everything I could to bring out every last little drop of detail. You know, because I try to be as, you know, open and
I think it's two balloons tied together, actually. That's what it is. Left over from party. One's sort of lost its gas. The other one's still floating. Now, on to the next one. Okay, you did the crutch one. I suppose we could summarize that one up again. Did we do that one? Looks like a UFO. This the 70. The X-plane, isn't it? What do you call it? The stealth plane series. SR-71.
okay, this is, I believe, a real UFO. Now let me tell you what.
So last week, if you watched, we did a 5 minutes Google search and we found a pattern that sort of matched the design of that, which was rosemary balloons. And the day it was filmed was on a religious day where they release these things. So it was totally debunked. And you can't see the cross at the bottom here because it's probably sideways to us.
The original uploader had to say the witness, the lady who filmed this. I mean, I'm going to paraphrase here. Basically, her and her son, they're on the roof. Okay, they're watching the sunset, and they notice this UFO off in the distance. Now they said it didn't change altitude; it kind of just vanished. Like,
and you think in that region they would know about the festive things and balloon releasing. So yeah, I think they were just sending it into UFO channels just for a bit of a laugh. Okay, so on to the next one.
All right, many of you out there have heard me talk about this, you know, black budget military funding. You know, the Pentagon asking for $304 million. Okay, but first, join us at Discord. I'm going to leave a link below if you guys want to.
Now, that thing about 9/11 and the Pentagon crash and the $3 trillion missing, that's all been debunked, right? Turns out that back then they had old computer systems which haven't been integrated, and the money hadn't been added into the pool of accounting, so to speak. And since then, they have integrated all the old systems, and now they have found 2 trillion of it, and they've still got more to do. So once they finish the system conversions, eventually that missing money, which was meant to be said to be black ops, and I noticed that GUFON was still promoting that same old fake story that the plane crashed and they didn't have any backups and to cover up the missing money. Well, obviously they found it all. You probably could find it online even, probably. Google search again. Now, I was convinced, oh yeah, that sounds really plausible. I was sort of conned by it too. But then I started doing some research on it. missing. So if they found the money now, that sort of gets rid of that conspiracy, right? Missing 3 trillion or whatever it was. 9/11 found. Let's see if that comes up. Missing money can't account for. So it's going to be something else, is it? 2 trillion. Found that 2 trillion. Okay, let's see. Pentagon's 35 trillion black hole. US Army fudged its accounts by trillions of dollars, so that's another explanation. So yeah, it's a lot of dishonesty in American government, isn't there? I probably have to put 9/11. I got a typo there, so. Rumsfeld admitted that the Pentagon was missing 2.23 trillion. Okay, let's see what that comes up with. A claim U.S. Secretary of Defense admitted the day before the attack that the Pentagon was missing 2.3 trillion. And of course the plane crashed into Pentagon where they had the computers with all that accounts not backed up, which is untrue. And the claim supports conspiracy theory. Facts. The quote was taken out of context. Rumsfeld is not talking about the missing $2.3 trillion from Pentagon budget. The whole speech is available on the internet, and when read in full, it's soon clear that Rumsfeld is talking about the problem of opaque bureaucratic system which makes bookkeeping difficult and hinders a clear budgetary overview. Our topic today is adversary that pose a threat. Logic. It's illogical to admit a fraud even if news came the day before. Did they say they found it? Claim is therefore false, undocumented, illogical, self-contracting. I'm pretty sure they have found it. There's articles out there. That says how much they've now found. But anyway, people are still promoting that fact, like GUFON, and they need to do some research.
Chat, we can do a voice chat or whatever, come over there, talk about whatever you want, but I'll leave a link below. Twitter, whatever, 5th generation aircraft.
Okay, so that's one of these experimental planes on the back of a truck. What do they call it? Drones, remote control stealth drones?
I don't think we're looking at a UFO, okay? I think we're looking at something man-made, but is it reverse engineered? And why does it look like a UFO? Okay, why does it look like a...
Actually, it looks like a bird profile, the falcon, if you compare it to a falcon.
Round disc, almost, it reminds me...
Well, obviously it's shaped like that to be aerodynamic, so yeah, it's pretty boring, but it's still interesting to see images like that people recorded. It's not like you see a stealth plane on the back of a truck, is it? And the other stuff we have to cover another day. But yeah, like I said, it's just going to be an easygoing day for me. And if you want to donate, you can tip anytime. Help keep the channel going. I know other people get donations thrown at them, and they spend half the show thanking everybody. Here we have a little dancing alien to thank people, and the list pops up here, so it's always on the screen. We don't need to thank everybody for the donations, but we do occasionally. Because we get so few of them anyway, so it doesn't matter to say thank you. So I'm just going to round up now, guys, and I think we only got one person still watching, probably someone from Google. Just say good night inside here. Good night, and do fact checking. And I'll just do the end credit thing. There we go. And I need to go to the toilet. That's another reason to wrap up. 3 hours and 10 minutes since I've been to the toilet, so. So I'll leave it there after a short end here. Take care on the roads, everybody.